I didn't know who Niecy Nash was before a few days ago. Never heard of her, didn't even know that she existed. And now I resent knowing that she does. The image on your screen pretty much says what the white media thinks about black people, or perhaps is what they want black people to think about themselves. Every time you see black people, especially a black woman, well, she either needs to be a mammy of some sort, or at the very least, she needs to be in some state of undress. So on the one hand, you have an emotionally immature, undesirable female, and on the other hand, you have a slut. This is what the white media is putting out there. And they're celebrating this, by the way. Oh, Essence Magazine, who they have never spoken about and didn't give a rip about. Until this week, they're going to be doing a Black Women in Hollywood issue, and it's going to be making history because this is the first time they've ever had an LGBT couple on the cover of their magazine. Is that what Essence Magazine is about? And why is the white media congratulating them and trumpeting them for it? What is it that they're trying to say? And you got both of them here on the cover topless. Now, my question is twofold. One, have you ever seen the white media getting all happy and jolly and trumpeting, oh, there's a magazine that's got a black couple on the cover and this is history? They don't ever get this worked up. They don't celebrate that. Because putting a black man and a black woman on the cover of your magazine is giving everyone the image of a stable perpetuation of the black race, and that's something that they're not interested in. They'll go ahead and put Oprah up there because she's a single bootlick. She doesn't have any kids. So when she kicks the bucket, there's not going to be any little Oprahs running around. They look at Oprah as being very comforting. Not just because of the fact that she licks their boots extra clean, but also because of the fact that when they look at her, they understand Oprah Winfrey is not adding to the number of black people in the world. So she's basically a walking trophy. We gave her some money, and as a result, she's not going to be spreading any more of those nigger genes. Now, in the case of Niecy Nash, you have a Z-list nobody. I don't know who the world this woman is or what her particular talent is supposed to be, and I don't care. And obviously, the white media doesn't care either. Now, from what I understand, she was married a couple of times already. So she's a two-time loser is what that means. But she was married to black men 2 times in a row. Twice. Which the white media goes out of their way to make sure that they mention. They want to point out, oh, she was married to black men, but you know how it is. Obviously, those guys, there's something wrong with them, so she found herself deciding that a woman was what she needed. That's what this is about. This is about making it where we're going to celebrate if you got a black LGBT couple. We'll celebrate if you have a black single person, particularly a black single woman. We're really not keen on celebrating and highlighting black single mothers because the problem is you've already brought some more black babies into this world. And regardless, that's the actual sin. That's the real crime that you committed. You can only mention black single motherhood. It's useful only to the extent that it helps to sow the seeds of social dysfunction. You need that father in the home. You need that man as an influence in that home and in that society. But apparently some in the white media, and this includes the bootlick black media who are auxiliary of the white media, they're looking and going, okay, apparently there's not enough dysfunction. This is during Black History Month that they put this out there. And what do you put out there for Black History Month? Who you crawl into bed with is apparently black history. Now, for everyone else, when the white media reports on them, typically, if you want to consider yourself to be making history, you have to have done something. You have to have come up with some sort of idea. You have to have won a war. You have to have invented something. You have to have done something, accomplished something. Now, I've mentioned before about that other LGBT advocacy site, the Griot, and how they were highlighting black LGBT figures, and what they were using were words like groundbreakers and innovators. Terms that are typically reserved for people who have invented something, who made something, who have discovered something for the sciences. And when you look at who these people are, these are people who are basically actors, singers, or these are people who do guest panel work on some white so-called news cable channel. That's who they're talking about. I'm sitting here wondering, okay, but what's the innovation that's going on here? What are they doing that hasn't been done before? If you want to put somebody's sexual lifestyle or sexual preference on a pedestal, fine. But when you start saying that it's an innovation, this person is an innovator, then at the very least, I'm going to be asking, innovating what? And this is Essence Magazine's Black Women in Hollywood issue. So we know who this is aimed at. This is aimed at black women. All you black women out there in the sound of my voice, if you're wondering what it is the white media and their black bootlick auxiliaries want for you, they're showing you that basically you should walk in the footsteps of Niecy Nash. And again, I'm trying to figure out what the hell has Niecy Nash done that anyone should know or give a rip who the hell she is. What the hell has she done? I still don't know what the hell this woman is. Is she a singer? Most likely. Okay, so she's a singer or whatever the hell she is, comedian or something. I don't know what the hell this woman is. And her life partner, or as she calls this person, her husband. That's the word they're using, husband. I don't know who this Jessica Bates character is either. And I don't know what makes it where either one of them should be on a cover with the white media trying to tell us that they are people to emulate. They're not telling me what these people have done. They're just telling me what these people like. This is literally the definition of famous for nothing. Now you look at white media publications like Vanity Fair or Vogue or something, especially Vanity Fair. You got that little racist Annie Leibovitz, supposed to be this world-class photographer. She's done photos for all the rich and famous, anyone who's everyone, except whenever she does portraits of black people, her photos are always exact same. Black person standing there, mouth wide open. Either they're looking like they think something is funny, or in the case of LeBron James, just got him open with a white woman on his arm. But if you got some white media outlet featuring white people in their Hollywood issue, then why is it that we've never seen them taking somebody like a Kristen Stewart or a Kate McKinnon or whomever? You don't see them taking Elliot Page and putting them on the cover and saying, hey, here's our Women in Hollywood issue for Vogue magazine or for Vanity Fair or for Entertainment Weekly or whatever. They don't do that. So you have some white women who are actual names. At least you would have heard of them, even if you don't necessarily know what they've done. But you would think that would be natural to do. It seems whenever it comes time to talk about all of this groundbreaking stuff, oh, here we have some history being made, groundbreaking, then all of a sudden it's like, well, make sure to put a black person out there. You have black people who actually have carried out technical innovations, black people who have distinguished themselves in the arts and the sciences, and yet you don't see the white media making a big deal out of, we got to get this guy on a cover, we got to get this woman on a cover, we need to get these black folks on a cover, we need to have them featured. History is being made. When you got black folks who have actually produced a product or who have actually done some sort of scientific breakthrough, then these are black people who get ignored. On the other hand, if you got some Z-list nobody who nobody's ever heard of this person, all this person has to do is basically say, I've got myself a girlfriend. And the white media says, oh my God, we don't even know who you are, but we love it already. So obviously this is not about Niecy Nash, whoever the hell she is, and her gal pal. This is the white media who is attempting to tell you this is something that you ought to do. That's what this is about. We're going to put these two on a cover, and we're going to say that this is the representation of black women in Hollywood. Not any black women who have actually produced any movies or done television. Nobody who's actually made anything. Just basically, this is going to be the face of black women in Hollywood. Niecy Nash and Jessica what's-her-name. And of course, it's no accident, no coincidence at all that it happens to be part of the old dead black media who are the ones who are leading the charge on this. This is the reason why black folks, especially young black people, I'm talking about the under 50 crowd, they turned their backs on the old black media a long time ago. We're talking about what's going to be for our empowerment. We're talking about making sure that we can protect and provide for the next generation of black folks. And what are these guys concerned about? What they think some white advertiser or some white producer or editor or what have you is going to want to talk about at the next cheese and croissant party, because that's what this is about. This is about them signaling to the white media, hey, we know what it is your interests are about, and don't worry, there won't be any offensive images of a black man and a black woman together, because you know how that disturbs you. Raising the specter of a next generation of black children, we know how that disturbs you. So we're going to take this Z-list nobody and put her on the cover with her boo. Oh, we're going to have them on there totally topless, because you know how black folks are. They don't have any decency, no decorum, no modesty, especially not black women, no modesty at all. I mean, heck, if you don't have them with their backs turned, showing their butts off, then they're running around topless because, you know, they don't have any better sense. This is how they present black women to the world. And this is supposed to be Essence, a magazine for black women. This is the image that they're putting out there of black women. Now, something else that needs to be remembered is you have a disproportionate number of black LGBT individuals who are in the white media. If you look at the executives, look at the writers and such, the creators, you see disproportionately that they happen to be LGBT. The reason that I bring that up is you would not have an Essence magazine, any of these old desiccated dead black media outlets, many of which are owned by white companies, by the way. The reason that they promote this is because this is non-threatening to them. They don't consider what Niecy Nash and her girlfriend are doing to be threatening to them. See, if you want to be groundbreaking and innovative, if you actually want to make some history, do something that's going to threaten the status quo. Do something that is going to threaten those in power. This doesn't threaten them at all. Because if it threatened them, they wouldn't be glorifying it, they wouldn't be lauding it, and they wouldn't be trying to tell people, hey, this is something that you should be following. This is an example you should be following. You know it threatens white power because these are the things that they attack, and they write laws against it, and they demonize it and call it controversial. They're not going to call this controversial. You're not going to see old nigga Jim Clyburn, America's favorite sharecropper, out there saying, stop sloganizing, stop saying this innovating, stop saying the groundbreaking, sloganizing kills. Because on a related note, it's only when it comes to black people that we have the Democrats and their black bootlicks like Negro Jim Clyburn who will be saying that, oh, why, we can't speak up for your issue because that would be controversial. That would hurt us politically. You have never heard them say, we can't be out here advocating for gay marriage or transgender bathrooms. Why, that would cost us in the midterms. That would cost us in the presidential elections. Hell no, the white media gets out there and they push it. And the Democrats are going, we're standing for it. And we're going to be trying to write some bills and we're prepared to go to the mat. Oh, you say that you're having a law that's going to restrict abortion? Why, we're going to retaliate through our state attorney general's offices. If you talk about anybody else other than black people, then the Democrats, they're prepared to go to the mat. There's nothing that's too controversial with these other groups. In fact, these other groups, their issues are not controversial at all. Oh, wait, we got people who are not even citizens who are going to be voting in local elections in New York. That's not controversial. Oh, well, we got such and such policy where we're going to be having abortion anytime, any place, anywhere, doesn't matter. That's not controversial. And there would be nobody would dare put the word controversial on any LGBT advocacy whatsoever. But the second you talk about black people, stop talking about it, stop sloganizing, you cost us the election. They would never, ever say that an LGBT platform cost them an election. They would never say that. They would never try to put the idea of LGBT laws or LGBT policies are political poison. They would never do that with those other groups. But they do that with black people all the time. Anything that black people are in favor of, anything that benefits us, anything that we talk about, well, that's a problem. So I don't know if there's anyone here who's going to be tuning in for Niecy Nash's next comedy special or her next screeching album. I don't know what the hell this woman does. Whatever the hell it is that she does for her little talent or whatever the hell it is that they think that they can put her on a cover and say Niecy Nash and I'm supposed to go, ooh, Niecy Nash. Oh, finally, we're getting some more Niecy Nash stories. Whatever the hell it is that her particular talent is supposed to be, I won't be tuning into it. I don't know if you will either, but I want you to be asking, why the world did they put this stuff in front of you? And what's particularly annoying to me is with all the serious stuff we got going on, life and death issues, things that are actually determining whether or not black people stay on this earth, what does Essence magazine think is important to put on their cover? First of all, they're focusing on Hollywood. I get it. These guys are basically trying to present themselves as being black women's glamour and glitz magazine. But what are they putting on the cover? How many black women actually want to be in the position of Niecy Nash or Jessica Betts? Is this something that's actually going to appeal to their core demographic? Do they know or care who their core demographic is? Is this about actually catering to their audience, or is it about educating their audience? Because I'll tell you right now, it won't be long before we have the usual list of black folks who are going to be complaining and whining about the Oscars and Oscars so white, and we need black folks to be in positions to decide who's going to be hired as directors and actors and such. So before all that goes on, you got the folks in the old dead black media, especially Essence, who are trying to lay the groundwork for, you don't need to be worried about that. The Hollywood issue is not going to be about all the power that black people don't have. Instead, it's going to be about who Niecy Nash is snuggling up with. Because that's what really matters to black folks in Hollywood, don't you know? If you ever wonder why it is that if you got some black folks who are actually trying to put some sort of media venture out into the world, something that's going to actually uplift our people, something that's actually going to benefit us, why it is that Essence and the rest of the old dead black media ignore it, this is the reason why. As far as they're concerned, their audience, the real audience for them, happens to be the white corporations that they want to get ad buys from. It also happens to be the white managers and media executives and moguls that they want to be in the good graces of. As far as the old dead black media is concerned, they think to themselves that they're no longer black. Well, given how their circulation's declining and how nobody gives a rip what they say, they're also about to be no longer in business either. A number of these clowns have already had to sell their operation just to try to pull them back from the financial brink. And this is what they come back with. They don't try to figure out what it is that black people are actually interested in. Instead, it's a matter of, well, we're going to do what we think the white media is going to talk about. Yeah, the white media put that stuff out there for a single story. People will read that story, but they ain't going to be subscribing to your website or getting your magazine. And they're definitely not going to be deciding, oh, I got to follow Niecy Nash and her girlfriend now. That ain't how it works. But I think there must have been some sort of informal competition going on among these clowns to see who could kiss the white media's behinds the most. For all of you who thought that Dana White was the only racist element in MMA, now you can see it's the whole MMA scene in general. And of course, wherever there's some white supremacists, the bootlicks ain't far behind. Enter Israel Adesanya. He's good at fighting everything. Except for anti-black racism, he embraces that mess like there's no tomorrow. He was out there just doing the most to stick up for Joe Racist Rogan of all people. He's sticking up for him, saying they're just trying to take power away from somebody. This idiot actually said that he was defending Joe Rogan like there was no freaking tomorrow. I mean, you can tell when they got the leash around some fool's neck. He came to Joe Rogan's defense so quick, he was so proud of it. He actually said that, I saved Dana's ASS, by the way. The reporter was trying to set Dana up. I didn't mean to. I was just like, this MFer, because first off, I know Rogan. I'm sitting here thinking, this guy is telling on himself, big time. He's saying, yeah, I was a crash dummy for Dana White because they were going to put him on the spot because this is Dana White's boy. And everybody knows Dana White's reputation for being a racist is very well established and very well known. But apparently Israel Adesanya don't care about that. I saved Dana's ASS, by the way. Now, why would you be proud of saving Dana White's behind, as racist as he is? Well, it's because every slave is proud of sticking up for massa. That's the reason why. Israel Adesanya is very typical of a hell of a lot of these black men and women that we see in sports. They've got no fear of their opponent in the octagon, but they quake with terror and they pee their pants at the very thought that a white supremacist like Dana White or Joe Rogan might disapprove of them. That's what scares them. That's the fight that they don't want to have. And predictably, Adesanya made it a point to talk about Joe Rogan's N-word comments, but he didn't say anything about that whole Planet of the Apes thing. He left that out. Like a lot of folks in the white media, that's what they'll do. They'll leave out that part because there's no defense for that whatsoever. Oh, it's one thing to say, oh, well, he would just, the context you see. You can't play that context game with that Planet of the Apes stuff. You can't do it with that at all. And just to show you that he went full bootlick, he went so far as to say, I love that dude, man. Rogan's a guy that for me, look, all right, we know what's going on. That's why I said F the noise. Don't focus on what they want you to focus on. Focus on why they're doing what they're doing. And of course, there was more of this verbal vomit bootlicking, saying that Rogan said that he was sorry, let it go. He's the nicest MFer in the game. He's a cool dude. I was like, God dang, man. It's like Joe Rogan's behind must taste like cotton candy the way that Adesanya's lips are super glued to it. I mean, he's just kissing Rogan's behind. And what it shows you is for these clowns, these guys think that this is their access. This is supposed to be how they make sure that they remain somehow relevant. Because they're not relevant unless they got some white racists who are putting them on. It's approval from these white supremacists that's most important to them. These clowns cannot and do not stand on their own. And I know that people have their issues with Nick Cannon, and there's certainly a conversation to be had. But my question is, where were these fools at when Nick Cannon was being attacked? They were trying to cancel Nick Cannon, saying he was anti-Semitic and all the rest of it. They were just piling on. And all of your free speech advocates that everything should be spoken and sayable, why we can't be canceling people, man, them folks were silent or they were piling on with them. This is the reason why it's very dangerous to call yourself following these celebrities. Particularly the black ones, because if you're a black celebrity, well, that means the white media's already got their hooks into you. They already know that your nose is wide open. This is how you get these embarrassing spectacles like Terry Crews, who's on television saying that Sylvester Stallone was a father figure to him. I mean, you're a freaking middle-aged man. How the hell that work? Then you got Ray Lewis. I don't know why the world he doesn't just stop pretending and put on a MAGA hat and a shirt that says Black Lives Don't Matter. That's the only thing this moron hasn't done. But that's the thing about these bootlicks. They understand full well that they gotta go over the top. You can't just lick Massa's boots a little bit. You can't just dab it with your tongue. Nah, man, you gotta slather on there. You gotta go until your tongue's bloody. That's what Massa requires from you. You gotta lick all the dirt and the muck and the dog poop and everything else off of it. Oh, you gotta just debase yourself. You gotta go overboard. You have never seen any white celebrity who has put their neck out there to defend a black person who's been accused of anything. You ain't never seen that. Oh, they might say one or two sympathetic words. They're going to leave it at that. They sure as hell are not just going to be going on and just the praise and the congratulations and telling people, oh, this person's a good person. Oh, I love this. But you guys just need to move. No, forget about that. And the white media is going to make sure to put them on the spot. Oh, they're not going to allow this person to just ignore that issue or they just won't bring it up. It's like, no, if there's some black person who they think that they can dump on, they're going to find out, does he have any white friends? If we can't get any black people to dump on him, we'll find out if he's got any white associates, any white acquaintances. We'll get them to do it instead. And say, see, his friends are abandoning him, see? But the way that Israel Adesanya was going on about how much he loved Joe Rogan, he supports this man, and y'all better not say nothing about him, and he's so cool and all the rest, I'm going, God dang. Judging by the way he just heaps all this praise on the man and just adores Joe Rogan and worships the ground that he walks on, I'm starting to think that Joe Rogan and Israel Adesanya will be the next same-sex couple on the cover of Essence magazine. Frankly, I think they deserve each other. Good night, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Miss Chocolate Drop, Nicole Chappelle, Mandisa, Justin Marcus, and Deep Sea Diver. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.